Hi everybody. Okay. So this is a video I want to do for a while, only I didn't know how I want to do it. Because I have a lot of material I can choose from. Like I've said before, it was on the air for 15 years, from 1994 to 2009. So I have a lot of scenarios and actors I can pick from. But I think that you have to start from the start, and the original cast, if you will, was great because you have to think that these are new people that, I mean, a few of them maybe did a couple acting things, like Anthony Edwards had done other things before, but the rest of them were kind of newbies, you know what I mean? So for them to be that good, it's like they call it lightning in a bottle. It only happens once every couple, I don't know, once a decade, once every couple of years, where you get a group together, and it has to be a group, and there's this synergy that happens between all the people, and it's like cogs in a machine that run perfect. Um, okay, because you have Anthony Edwards, you had George Clooney, which he had been on Roseanne for a couple of episodes, um, as Booker. And then you have Juliana Margulies and Sherry Stringfield and Gloria Rubin and Eric LaSalle and, all these people. It sounds like a lot of people, and it is. But you have to realize it all have to come together and it has to work. And if it doesn't work, you're not going to feel the same thing when you're watching it on screen. And then also, Noah Wiley, but he was like fresh. I mean, he of course he's older now, but you could tell his age as soon as he walked in, cause um he's just very wide eyed and stuff, like how you are when you first do something and you don't know what you're doing yet. Like, you don't know where to go and you don't know what you're doing exactly. And so you have to ask a lot of questions. And some people could look at you like, why don't you know that? But you just don't. So then the thing is, you roll with the punches and you learn as you go. Um, you know, but also I kind of feel bad for his character a little bit because his character was John Carter, okay? Um, he came from money, and it was obvious in his uniform. His coat was like brand new. You could tell it was very fancy, freshly pressed, the whole deal. His stethoscope was really nice. Everything was really nice. So, of course, when that happens, then you get the kind of jokes of like, why are you here? Because obviously you don't need the money. So then you feel like you have to prove yourself even more. Um, you know, and then in the first season, I mean, right out of the gate, we already understand the relationships between the people because there's Anthony Edwards, Mark Green, who is like the father of the floor. He knows everybody, knows everything, and is really nice. And then he's married to Jennifer, but Jennifer wants a better life, so she's always asking him to go to this better clinic. And well, in the first season, she asked him to look at the clinic and see if he likes it. And then, but then she already kind of knows because she says, "Oh, but you're probably gonna hate it." And he's like, "I'll look into it. I'll look into it." So he goes over there over lunch, and he's asking the other doctor, what do you do here? What are your specialties? That kind of thing. And he's like, we focus on cosmetic surgery and all this stuff. And he's like, oh, okay, okay. And then he's like, the other doctor says, you're still in the ER and you like it there? He's like, yeah, I love it. I love, like, it's chaos, but I like it. So, from then on, he's not going to get the job or wants a job. And I would say that puts a strain on the relationship a little bit. And so, like, like it is in most relationships, a relationship doesn't end because of one thing. It's a string of things that don't happen, or a series of disappointments, or a series of letdowns, or whatever that leads. But that was the catalyst, the first one. And then I think, honestly, the two people um, grew apart, as a couple. But they love their daughter, so. And their daughter, Rachel, it comes back in season, well, I mean, she's all the way throughout, okay? But she comes back in season 15 and she's going to be the doctor, and they already know because she's going to the best schools. She's got good GPA, all that stuff. She passed her MCAT, which is very important. So it's kind of a shoe in. She's going to be a doctor. But it's kind of bittersweet because he's no longer there. Because in one of the most epic seasons and episodes, and yes, I will admit, I still cry every time I see it. Um, he dies in season 8. And it happens when they're on vacation in Hawaii. And you can tell it's going to happen at some point because every day he gets progressively worse. And, like, okay, um, one day he's able to stand up with no problem. Then the next day he can't really stand up that well. Then the next day he can't really move his arm. Then the next day he can't really see out of one eye. That kind of thing. So it's like, all right, all right. So then what happens is he's trying desperately to connect with his daughter, right? And it's working, but it's not working sometimes because she's a teenager. So she's rebellious and all that stuff. Um, he doesn't want her to smoke, drink, all that stuff. And then she meets a boy in the surf shop because she wants to learn how to surf. And so she convinces her dad that she needs a new board. But it's really to flirt with the guy in the surf shop, right? Okay. So at first she's like, he's not going to approve. And he doesn't really because she's 14 and the guy's 17. So then her father says that's too much of an age gap. But then the stepmother, which is Elizabeth Corday, um, says, it's all right. They're just teenagers. What's going to happen? Whatever. So then, okay. So then we get to the scene. We get to the scene where it happens. And right before that, he's trying to connect with the daughter and says, do you remember the song I used to sing to you when you were really little? And she's like, no, I don't. And, at that point, you want to kind of like, okay, well, come on, girl. He's your father. Don't act like that. So then she says, yeah, I remember. So then she puts headphones on his ears. And he kind of, like, you can tell he passed away at that moment or something. Somewhere in there because he's hearing the song, and then in his dream or whatever. See, it looks like a dream, but I think he died because he starts visiting all his old places because he walks around in the hospital and he can see and everything. So he's back to normal, like he was in season 1. And then he starts going around to all the people that's important to him. He sees his daughter with the boy and he kind of smiles so she knows it's all right. And then he goes and visits his wife with their little daughter Ella, which that was the most heartbreaking because she literally was a little girl, like a 2-year-old or something, and he passed away. But so he visits them, and then I don't know, and then just you have a thing of him walking off or whatever. But it's really cool. But I'm saying it's one of those moments again that if you don't cry, no matter who you are, I mean, a woman or the biggest guy, there's something wrong with you. Because yeah, I mean, if it doesn't evoke some kind of emotion, so yeah, I gave you like a snapshot, but believe you me, I can give you everything about the show. I used to watch it religiously every Thursday night. I mean, probably before I should have, because there was a lot of blood and everything. But yeah, I love the show.